A very good morning to Ms. Suzanne and my fellow classmates. Today, together with me and my fellow group members, Jeremy, Diandra, Elysia, Azuha, will present to you the service quality towards customer satisfaction. How many of you here today have heard about this restaurant, Nirwana Maju? As I see, some of you do, some of you don't. For those of you who do know, that this restaurant is located in Bangsar, Kuala Lumpur. And this restaurant is a reputable restaurant, and it's the most famous restaurant for banana leaf rice. And just before going into the restaurant, we sat down and brainstormed ideas about ways to rate the service quality, and we decided upon Parasurman's Rater service quality, which consists of 5 components, which is reliability, assurance, tangibility, empathy, and responsiveness. We also did the same for expectations. Just before we entered the restaurant, we wrote down as a group all our expectations, and for our first expectation for reliability is authentic Indian food, which we expect to get is 3 different kinds of vegetable along with rice, and banana leaf rice, as it says for its name, to be served upon a banana leaf. So then comes the assortment of curries, and that's what we expect to get for authentic Indian food. Our second point would be staff alertness, is when we do enter the restaurant and we do need assistance, we always want to ensure that the staff are always ready to help, and they are always ever ready to assist you whenever you do need help. Our third point for reliability is quality sustenance, is when we do arrive on the day, we do not want to, we hope not to have food from previous night. Moreover, to have food prepared on the spot and it's fresh. For assurance, there's 2 main points. One, for the staff members to be knowledgeable on their menu. By this happening, because it would help the customers coming in, as they are tourists every day that's come in and out of this restaurant. And by the staff member knowing what dishes are on the menu, it would help the customers make the decision of what they're going to eat on that day. The second point for assurance is to have well-managed staff. Is when we do enter the restaurant, we want to be greeted with a hello, and that would create an environment where it's happy and it's a nice environment to share this experience when you eat. So those are the 2 main points, and next I think I'll pass it to Diandra.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. Now, I'm gonna talk about cleanliness. When you go to a restaurant, the first thing that you see is how clean the restaurant are. The first thing that we expect is for them to have clean floors, no spills, no anything. Even if they do have spills, we expect them to clean it regularly and as regular as they can. And then we also expect them to have clean tables and also clean chairs, because who want to be there in a restaurant with dirty chair and also dirty tables? Nobody wants that. Next, we're also expecting them to have very clean utensils like spoons, forks, and also the mugs that we use for us to drink. We expect them to be not oily and doesn't have any stain. And then we move on to the kitchen, where everything happens. For the kitchen, we expect the staff to wear some gloves while they're cooking so that the food will stay hygienic. And then we talk about the toilets. We expect the toilet to have no odor. We expect them to provide us with some toilet papers and also some soaps for customers to use when we go to the toilets. And then next, we're gonna talk about spacious restaurants. When we talk about spacious restaurant, we want to feel comfortable inside the restaurant. We want to be able to move freely inside the restaurant, either it's for the customers or also for the staffs. And then we're gonna talk about the parking spots also, because this Nirwana Maju restaurant is located in Bangsar and it's a very cramped area. We expect them to have a reserved parking spots for all those customers, so that the customers who wants to visit Nirwana Maju can just park there and just go straight to the restaurant. Next, we have also expectation. No, Dwayne, yes. We also expected We also expected the restaurant to have a smoking and a non-smoking area. Next, we're gonna talk about ambience. We have 5 points: decor, lighting, temperature, noise, and fire. For decor, because this is a banana leaf restaurant, we expect them to have an authentic, traditional Indian decor. Next, for the lighting, we expect the lighting to be not too dim but not too bright also. Temperature, not too hot, not too cold. Noise, we expect we expect the restaurant to have some noises, but we don't want us to be yelling at each other while conversing. Next, the last one is attire. We expect all the workers to wear a proper working attire, which is their hats, their shirts, their aprons, their long pants, and also their covered shoes. Next, we're gonna talk about empathy. We have 2 points here: communication and understanding emotional needs. For communication, because there are a lot of tourists also that are gonna visit this place, we expect them to at least speak some basic Malay, Indian, and also English for the workers, so that when we want to order some food or when we have some questions, we don't have any miscommunications with the staffs. And also for understanding emotional needs, because we want to feel welcome when we go to a restaurant. We want the workers to greet us with a smile on their faces, and also we want them to be very kind and very helpful for us. Next, we're talking about responsiveness, because this is, as Dwayne said, one of the famous banana leaf restaurants in KL. We expect them to have a long queue there. Next, I'm gonna pass this to Ellie.
Alright, moving on, we're going to talk about the perceived outcomes after visitation. So from the disconfirmation paradigm, we've got 3 types of comparisons. The first would be performance more than expectations. The second, performance is equivalent to expectations. And the third would be performance less than expectations. So now let's start off with reliability. Reliability, we've rated this a performance equivalent to expectations with 3 types of expectations. The first would be authentic Indian food, staff alertness, and the third and final, quality sustenance. Now we've rated all 3 of these performance equivalent to expectations. So that would mean that all 3 of these expectations have met what we expected before we visited the restaurant. Next on, we'll move on to assurance. Now we've rated this a performance equivalent to expectations as well. We've got 2 expectations: well-mannered staff as well as knowledgeable on their menu. We've rated well-mannered staff performance less than expectations due to the fact that we've been standing in line, and when we reached the front of the line, we expected a welcome or a hello, but instead they gave us a what do you want to eat and how many people. We didn't like that. So next on, we'll move to tangibility. We've rated tangibility performance less than expectations. So there are 3 expectations: cleanliness, spacious restaurant, and ambience. We've rated both of the first 2 performance less than expectations, but the ambience has met our expectations. On the cleanliness part, we entered the restaurant, we sat down on a clean chair, but we placed our hands on sticky tables. The area of the restaurant was littered all around, so that wasn't good. Next, we'll move on to empathy. Performance equivalent to expectations. So we have 2 expectations: communication with the staff, and we expected the staff to understand our emotional needs. We've rated the second one a performance less than expectations due to the fact that they pestered on into ordering their recommended dish, which was the fish head curry, as well as rushing us into confirming our orders for our food and drinks, due to the fact that there were too many customers lining up already. Right now, lastly, we'll talk about responsiveness. We've rated this a P equivalent to E as well. We expected a queue at the restaurant due to the fact that the restaurant is famous throughout Pine Valley. We expected a queue, we got a queue. Next, we'll move on to Jeremy.
Thank you, Ellie. So now I'll be explaining about the expectation shortfall. So in the expectation shortfall, from the beginning, we started to plan where to eat, and after dining in, we will have some positive and negative comments about the place. Yeah, and also after that, we make up there are some 3 expectations which fall short falling short. And so now let me explain through the first gap. The first gap of the restaurant is the cleanliness. So the first point is training program for the staff to emphasize on the hygienic purposes of the restaurant. Yeah, and secondly, to come up with the best employee of the month program. This should come up because it will motivate the staff to work better, perform better, not only ordering food but also to clean up the restaurant before and after business hours. Yeah, also during business hours. So, and also the third point is to be selective in staff hiring, as because there are people who wanted jobs, so that the managing director may want to shortlist some some candidates due to it, and also calling them for a brief interview for sharing their experiences. And then lastly, to hire a manager which emphasizes mostly on the cleanliness of the restaurant, like to order the waiter. Sometimes if there are people busy, that they will order the other staff to work on the cleanliness of the restaurant. So next gap, I'll pass on to Azuha for explanation.
Thank you, Jeremy. The next gap is also a customer gap and it's on empathy. And for that, we can conduct a survey, a 3-minute survey on an iPad. We want to have it on iPad because we don't think that paper is that reliable. And we could reward the employees. And as Jeremy has mentioned, we can have a best employee of the month program, or it can be something as little as a thank you. And any emotions can give them flexible hours so that they are not too tired when they are working. And we can hire better staff after the manager monitors them and if there is no improvement in them. And we can train these staff on their soft skills. Now the third gap is spacious restaurant. Now this is another kind of gap. Now let's get back to the flow chart. The first gap we talked about is customer gap. What we expected all of our expectations didn't meet our perceived outcomes. So that's the customer gap. Now this gap is management perceptions of customers' expectations to the expected service. So the management, they opened the restaurant in a high commercialized area and they thought that this space will be enough for them to run the restaurant. But when they started the restaurant, there is a market indifference. So the service quality didn't meet their expectations. They didn't foresee the problem. Now how do we eliminate this gap? We can again conduct a market research on this, and the third one. Yeah, and we can hire an interior designer and reserve a parking area for the customers. So basically they can have a productive meeting with the financial department and the human resource department and come up with strategies to minimize this gap, and they can be more optimistic about it. Now we list down our expectations. We went there, we have our perceived outcomes, and for us, after looking into all these data, we came up with our experience equation. P is equal to E for Nirwana Maju restaurant. Now we all know, that's right, we all kind of want to be a player, yeah. And his quote says, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest resource of learning." So we went there, we had a satisfied experience, we had a touch of Malaysian Indian culture, and the thing that the most important thing is we learned a lot. We went there as a customer, we criticized the place, we researched the place, and later we put ourselves in the manager's shoe, and it gave us a whole new perspective on things. And this we are always going to remember in our life. It will always help us in our future when we get into the hospitality industry. So we had a satisfied experience, so we decided that we'll go back to Nirwana Maju restaurant. Please join us. Thank you.
Thank you.